GetYaSome Radio.
There's a lot of opportunity right now to differentiate yourself, to do things differently.
Now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The GetYaSome Radio Show with your host, the Vice President of Making Shit Happen, Terry Lancaster.
Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Welcome back to another episode of the GetYaSome Radio Show. And before we get going, I want to remind you, you need to subscribe to the GetYaSome Radio Show. You don't ever miss another episode. We've got a quick and easy way to do that. You need to text the word Terry, Terry. Text Terry to 33777. You'll automatically be a subscriber. You'll get every episode in your inbox, so you never miss another tidbit that we're going to give out. And congratulations to my buddy Sean Long in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. He is the winner of the GetYaSome prize pack. He won a collection of books and from guests we've had on the show from this year. I'll be getting that out to Sean later this week. So congratulations, Sean. On today's episode, I got a great show for you. My buddy Herb Anderson, 19 years in the car business. He's an automotive consultant, and he's the host of the Dealer Talk podcast. It's the end of the year. 2020 is right there upon us. Herb and I are going to be talking about what you can do to make your life, your career, your sales better in 2020. We'll be back with Herb to talk about that right after this.
Make more friends. Sell more cars. 97% of car shoppers say they would prefer to know their salesperson before they ever set foot in the dealership. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, and they refer their family and friends to people they know, like, and trust. Visit terrylancaster.org to learn how your sales staff can get more reviews, more referrals, and more repeat business by building better, stronger, more authentic relationships online and in real life. terrylancaster.org.
Herb Anderson, what's going on, buddy? How the heck are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing amazing. Super stoked to be here. This is going to be a great session, man. Excited.
Well, I'm excited for it, and I love that. I've been telling people when amazing, because I think how you answer that question sets the tone for everything. I've been telling everybody I'm fantastic no matter what they ask me. I think since 1987, my kids are sick of hearing it. So I love it when somebody comes out of the gate with some positivity and a little liveliness, because it sets the tone for everything. Thank you for setting the tone. So let's talk about it, man. 2020 is coming up. I know you've been in the car business for a long time. You've worked every end. You've worked for the vendors. You've worked in the service department. You've done sales. You've done consulting. You've been at the top, the bottom, everything. Worked with everyone from the GMs to the janitors. Let's talk about this now. And the show's not entirely for car dealers, but we got a lot of car salespeople that watch. But sales is sales. Let's talk about 2020. What's going on this year, and what can we start doing to make things better next year?
Yeah, man. I think that's a great place to start. I think the tone's going to be set just by the way that the industry's going. Obviously, there's some, some people can look at it like there's some contraction, but for me, that just means opportunity, right? There's a lot of opportunity right now to differentiate yourself, to do things differently. And I think the number one thing, man, for 2020 is action. I think that's really what sets the tone, is to, take action steps every single day to connect with more buyers and just get in front of people. Social media is a big one. I talk about that on the podcast all the time. I think that a lot of us in the industry are not really capitalizing on the power that social media has and what it can do as far as allowing you an outlet, right? A channel for you to connect with people, to build a personal brand, to establish credibility. And you can do that at a local level, which I think is very, very important, right? When we think about social media, oftentimes we think of, it doesn't really produce, or how can I leverage that to connect with people that are going to buy today? And it's all about the content and how you're using that to kind of get that message out to the right people.
You know, I love that, because this is the time of the year. It's the end of the year, and everyone's putting together their plans for next year, and everyone's got big plans. But like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. The
Right.
gyms are full on January 2nd. Everybody's up on that treadmill, just hitting it and getting it, baby. January 2nd is a good day in the gym business. February 2nd is not. Everyone's got a plan, but plans don't feed the bulldog. Action is what gets deals done. And you have to take that action. And our plans often start off as these huge, grandiose things. We're going to have this percentage increase. We're going to make this much money. We're going to sell this many cars. Our plans are all out in the future, and they're all big numbers. But actions are right here, right now, one step in front of the other. So let's talk about some actions. What's one thing? What can we do? One foot in front of the other. The small little steps that are going to get us where we want to go.
Yeah, well, you know, if we're talking specifically about the automotive industry, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves, man, is every time I go to, not every time, but most of the time when I go to a dealership, I see a lot of guys just sitting on the golf cart, just waiting for that up, right? Waiting for that. It's like we forgot that, you know, that the hunt, right? We're not after it, you know, we're kind of waiting for that to come to us. And I just think that that's the wrong place to, or the wrong way to be, you know, especially in sales. Like, you got to be on the phones, you got to be creating content on social media, go to the service department and figure out what's there from the previous night that you can work and maybe convert that into a deal. I mean, there's so many different things that are happening within the dealership that you can leverage to connect with buyers and try to convert that into a sale instead of waiting for that opportunity to come. It just, you know, I don't know. For me, it's always been about being proactive versus reactive. And I think that philosophy applies to any sales. You know what I mean? To just don't wait for those opportunities to present themselves. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can every single day to create, right? Plant the seed.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously try to add value to your industry, try to add value to your community, because obviously the more value you add, the more you're going to get back.
So that's the funny thing. I'm the same way. I mean, I talk about this stuff all day long, every day, and so I assume it's like air and water. Everyone knows that you should be doing this stuff in the social media and working service and getting out there. But still, if I go into a dealership, you know, not everyone, but 90% of the salespeople aren't doing any of this stuff. I talk about social media till I'm sick of talking about social media, but I go into a dealership and 90% of the folks don't do anything with it. And the car business is the only business that I've ever seen. I come from a radio background. I sold radio advertising for years, and then I've been in the advertising business for years. And so I deal with a lot of different businesses, and the car business is the only business I've seen that the most salespeople don't feel like prospecting is their job. I've talked to car salespeople who tell me straight up, well, it's not my job to go out and the customers. It's the dealership's job to bring in the customers. It's my job to close them. You know, that prospecting and generating leads, that's their job. My job is to close. And the car business is, I swear, the only business I've heard a salesperson say that going out and finding a customer isn't my job. Is that accurate? And why is that?
Well, think about that, dude. So our industry is the only industry that I can think, well, probably not the only one, but one of the only ones that created its own department to prospect and to do all those things, which is the BDC, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. When I first started, and I remember, you know, this is back 2000, right? Those salespeople were on it every day. There was no BDC. They were calling. They were working the phones. They were, you know, back in the day, sending actual handwritten cards. They'd actually leave the dealership with a stack of business cards and network within you know, the area of the dealership. That's the kind of environment that I remember when I started. And now it's like everybody's just sitting around waiting for that up. And it's just, I don't know, dude, it drives me insane. Like, I would never be able to do that. Like, you got to go out there, man. You got to put yourself out there. And then think about the platforms, right? Like with social media, for example, like you have a channel, man, to connect with people. That's just that the audience is there. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that you're not working it properly. but these channels have a built-in audience. Like, can you imagine trying to do this podcast or something like that 20 years ago? Like, there was no way, right?
Yeah.
You have to actually have a radio show, and how expensive is that, and all the money that would require. Now you can just come in, you get a program, you create your content, you can download it, you do everything from the production to the distribution. Like, it's all in your control. And I just don't see a lot of us taking advantage of that. And it's, I mean, I do have to say that, like, I'm seeing more and more of it, but I still feel like we're kind of falling short, and we're not taking advantage of the platforms for what they have to offer.
So you mentioned social media, that some folks say social media isn't working, but I think, again, going back to the gym analogy, that's like a lot of folks, they hit the gym on January 2nd and they work out, 2-3 times.
Right. Yeah.
And they hadn't lost their goal was to lose 50 pounds this year, and they go and hit the gym on January 2nd, January 3rd. And then all of a sudden they hadn't lost 50 pounds, and those cookies look real good, brother. And, so I think if they say it's not working, it's because they tried it that 1 or 2 times. And that's like, I know a lot of people that go into the sales business too. Well, I'm going to give sales a try. And that just doesn't work, because you know what? If you give it a try, you ain't all in. It's either all in or nothing. I swear, I just had this conversation with a guy 20 minutes ago, and he had just, I knew him. And he had just left the job at a car dealership, and he worked there 1 month, and it just wasn't for him. He just I didn't make the money I wanted to make, and the customers just weren't there, and they gave it a try. So what are people trying on social media that's not working for them, and how do they fix that? How do they go from trying to getting it done?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting comment and perspective from that person. I almost would like to have an opportunity to chat with them about just what was it about their experience that they said, oh, this is not for me. And let me give you an example. I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn the other day that just reached out because they listened to the podcast and they wanted to connect. And he was like, he told me his story. He was moving to Reno, and he was trying to find a position where he would help people within the car business. But he specifically said, but I don't want to sell.
Right.
And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Tell me about that. You said you wanted to help people. And he said, yeah, like, I have a passion for helping people. I feel like, I'm underutilized in the sales role because I don't get to sell, because I don't get to help. And I was like, dude, I'm just so confused with your comment. And this is exactly what I said. I'm so confused with your comment, because for me, selling is helping. You know what I mean? And I know it's probably the cheesiest sales line ever, but it's so true. Like, that selling gives you the opportunity to help people. Think about what that customer, if you look at your customers that are walking into the dealership as a buyer of a car, then you're not looking at that. You don't have the right lens on. Because what you're doing is you're solving that person's transportation issue. You know what I mean? They're using their car to mobilize their life, to go to work, to pick up their kids, to go have fun, all these different things. And so if you don't have that lens on of solving that transportation issue for that customer, then it's never going to click. You know what I mean? And I think that when you look at things from the right perspective, then that really allows you to, it just changes the dynamic, it changes the game, it changes your mindset, and those things translate not just to social media, but any effort that you do on the social media side of things. It helps you with the content that you create, right? Because that's what it's all about. I mean, if you are creating content that's resonating with people, that it's connecting with an audience, then it's going to work, right? But it's the approach where, that part needs to be tight. And in order for that to be tight, you have to have, like I said, you have to have the right lens on and look at that position for what it truly is.
Yeah, and I tell everyone the truth about everything, whether it's sales or social media, personal branding, all that stuff. The simple fact, first rule number 1 is it ain't about you. Bottom line, it ain't about you. And the less you can make it about you, the better off you're going to be. Like this guy I was just talking, I didn't get into him too much because it was just one of those things. I met the guy in passing. He found out I was in the car business, and he kind of mentioned it. But he told me, he said, I didn't stick around. One, because they're either going to buy or they're not going to buy. I present the features of the car, and if they want it, they want it. If they don't, they don't. So he wasn't comfortable doing that. And he said I wasn't comfortable. He said I just sold a guy a $120,000 Corvette. $120,000 Corvette. Now, and I was thinking the whole time, well, that's just crazy. That's a house. How can he do that? But again, he was making it about him. Maybe to him, it's a house. Maybe to the other guy, it's pocket, it's chump change. You don't know what they are and if you're only selling features, you're making it about the car. So he was making it about himself. He's making it about the car and not about the customer. So it's 100% about the customers. So what kind of content do we create on social media that's about the customers, that it's about their problems and helping them make their lives better?
Convenience, right? For me, that would be where I would start. There's kind of a two ways to approach that. And on one aspect of it, I would want to do something that I personally am connected with, some sort of a passion, because there's other people in the world that probably have an affinity for that same thing. And so we can connect, kind of, bridge the gap that way, right? With content that resonates with both. But there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing more valuable than convenience, right? Yeah. Anything that you could do to make that process more convenient for the customer and we talk about this in the automotive industry a lot, make that experience better or actually create an experience.
Right.
Then I think that's gonna be advantageous. But if you're just creating content about, hey, I got this vehicle here, come buy my car, sort of a deal, that's not gonna. They see that stuff all the time. That's not gonna work. Yeah. It's got to be content that consumers need in order to make that shopping experience easier. So I don't know how to search for search for your dream car. Is it better to finance or pay cash? What are some of the finance options that we have here that could make your post-purchase experience better? Why, when you buy from us, you don't just get the car, but you join our family. Talk about the service department. Testimonials from customers that have bought it from you in the past, and that tells that customer in a subliminal way, if you will, that you're the right guy to buy that vehicle from. There's all these different things that we can do if we just put our creativity hat on and we really, like I said, think about it from the customer's perspective. I can't think of a more dynamic place in most cases than the dealership. There's just so many different departments for you to get content from. You can go to the parts department, you can go to the service department, you can go to where you detail your vehicles, you can go and talk to the management of the dealership and get content that way. There's so many different things that you can do content-wise on a day-to-day basis that really tells a story. And we just don't focus on those things. We're just all about, hey, I got this vehicle and the best deal. And, and that stuff is just like, it just doesn't, everybody has that nowadays. It's about telling that story.
Yeah, the dealership's huge, and I was talking to a general manager the other day, and he's looking for social media content. Now he said, I need to get more, need to get some social media content. And I don't know what to do. I said, listen, how many employees you've got? He said, well, I got about $120. We got about 120 employees in the store. Well, that's 120 stories. Every one of those individuals has a story. Go do a 2-minute interview, a quick 30-second pop with each one of those people in the dealership, introducing them. And you don't have to be the general manager to do that. If you sell cars at Bob's Toyota, there's 120 employees. Go get on camera with each and every one of them and help them share their story and push those messages out. Again, that's what Facebook is about. It's about faces. So there's 120 stories. I love the ideas that you talked about for content. One, because almost every one of them was a question. If you're answering questions, you're solving problems. So you're looking for questions to answer, and there's also some SEO bumps to that, because that's what Google looks for. Well, how do I change a flat tire on a Mercedes? So people are looking to answer questions, and they're looking for stories. So I thought you had some good stuff there. Let's talk about Herb's story. Tell us about you, how you got into the car business, what you've been doing in the car business for 19 years, and what you're doing in 2020.
Yeah, man. So I'm originally from Venezuela. So I came to the States back in '99, and going to college and just trying to do some side work, right? And stumbled upon a dealership in Michigan, and started there as a lube tech, tire technician, and apprentice, and then kind of moved up from there. I left the dealership and went to the independent side, but I was writing service. I was a service manager. Then I started my own business for a little bit, did a little bit of export management, all in the automotive industry to, on the collision side of things, right? So
right.
Doing that deal. And then I went to work for Cox Automotive, man, moved to Vegas, and I really learned a lot there. I mean, the information, the access to information about the industry was just crazy, man. And I really became a student of the industry, and that in combination with my past experiences just really allowed me to connect with the dealerships, because I knew the dealership world, and I understood the day-to-day operations of it, and all the struggles that the management in particular goes through. And I tied that into obviously the products that we had to offer and the solutions, right? The what we could do to solve some of those issues. My last position, if you will, was with Toyota, working on the owner communication side of things, so helping the fixed op side of the house with Toyota Care and things of that nature. And that led me to build content, which led me to start the Dealer Talk podcast. And that kind of was the springboard, if you will, to start my own business. And I've been consulting as an independent with dealerships ever since. And it's amazing, dude. I love it.
Amazing. Tell us about the Dealer Talk podcast, man. How's that going? What's up with that?
Dude, that is it's my baby, man. Like I absolutely, it's my passion project. It's weird because I started it as kind of a selfish type of a deal. I figured I could connect with people in the industry, learn, and then take that knowledge out into the field. And then on the other side, I was having awesome conversations with dealerships, but everything was happening closed doors. And I was like, dude, how do I get this out into the open? How do I share these awesome conversations with our industry? And so naturally, the podcast was the best platform that I can think of. Dude, but it's become something else, man. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just, it's really allowed me to connect with a lot more people and be able to help a lot more people. And it's awesome, dude. Like I absolutely love it. I have a blast doing it. And, the guests are awesome. Yeah. I learn a ton. And it just motivates me, man, to keep going. You know what I mean? So
Warren Buffett says you need to look for the job you would do if you didn't need a job. And I tell people every day of the week, this is what I would do if I didn't need a job. Do a couple of these a week and interviews, interesting conversations with interesting people. And it really opens up a whole world. And none of this was possible 15 years ago.
I know. And that's what's crazy. Sorry to interrupt, but I want to interject here really quick. So I always think about this, and I don't know, maybe my perspective is super skewed on this, but think about all the knowledge and the insights that we missed from people that were amazing people that had so much to give, but that these platforms did not exist. Yeah. How many Grant Cardones, how many Gary V's, how many Tony Robbins out in the world that didn't have a place to kind of put that information out into the open, right? And we have these podcasts, these channels, and we get these awesome people. Like we get incredible people to come on these shows because it's not about the host. Like it's about the people that actually are as guests that give the knowledge. That's what it's truly about, or that's what it should be about. And you give them this place where they can connect with others and share their insights and how many aha moments have people had because they were able to come on a show like yours, give that information, and then your listeners picked that up and they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they took it and they implemented it in their day-to-day, and it really made an impact. Maybe it was on their week or their year or their month, whatever. So yeah, dude, I mean, that's when I really start to think about the power of that. It just blows my mind.
Well, and like you said, when you started in the 90s, salespeople sold stuff. When I started in the 80s, you'd walk in and everyone had a Rolodex by their phone. That they lived out of that Rolodex. They were doing the stuff that we're trying to convince people to do now, and that's why they did it. And so there was lots of the sales. None of this is new stuff. The technology has changed, but the strategies are exactly the same. And so now we've got a better technology for telling about these old these old strategies. You're just jumping in there and getting it done. We're about ready to wrap it up. I promise everyone, if they'll listen to me chat with my friends and do my thing and have my little fun for the week, if they'll spend 30 minutes with me listening to me chat with folks, they're going to walk away with one thing that will change their life, one aha moment that they can use to implement in their life to make their sales better, to make their career better, to make their life better, to get the sum in the Get You Some Radio is health, happiness, and prosperity. So I ask every guest that they come on, you're going to give me one action step, one thing that people can do today when they put down the phone to walk away from this and make their lives better. What you got, Herb?
Read. That's it, man. Like I'm an avid reader. I'm on my 58th book. I'll probably do 59 books this year. And I can't tell you how empowering and how much knowledge you pick up when you pick up a book or listen to a book or whatever the case may be. So that would be my action step for anybody listening to this is read. If in particular, in whatever industry you're in, make sure that you're reading information about that. Because the only way for you to increase what you're worth is to be able to offer more, to bring more value to the marketplace, to your industry. And the only place for you to do that is to invest more time in yourself and becoming more knowledgeable. And so read. That's my
read. And I tell everyone, read, but don't read like you're reading the manual. Don't read like you're looking for the magic button, like the secret recipe to get things done. If you read one Grant Cardone book and you pull one good idea out of a Grant Cardone book, man, you're ahead of the game. You don't have to follow the Grant Cardone playbook because you're not going to be the next Grant Cardone. But if he's got one good snippet that you can take and make one extra sale next month, take it. Take another one from Zig Ziglar. Take anything from anywhere you can get. Take it from Herb Anderson. Take it from Terry Lancaster. Take one thing. Just don't try to be the next one of them. Be the next you. So,
right on. I love
brother,
that.
how can we get in touch with you if we need to get in touch with you? How do we watch and listen to and subscribe to the Dealer Talk podcast?
Yeah, I mean, we're available anywhere you get your podcast fix. So you can just go to your podcast app and type Dealer Talk and we'll pop right up. You can go to dealertalk.biz, which is our website, and subscribe there. We have a mailing list that you can be a part of, and we can send the episodes to you. And then we're also very active on social media. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, just any of those places. And then I always like to give out my cell phone when I do these deals because, I am serious about helping people. So if you want to get in touch with me, my cell phone is 702-526-0900.
Call before midnight so you don't forget. Brother, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Let's make 2020 a big one, everybody.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.